All right, thank you for listening in to another episode of Where the Fortune Is. To what I'm actually honored. Today we have Dr. Gargi Roy Goswami, and she's actually the founder and director of the Indian Academy of Clinical Dental Genetics, and it's the IACDG. And I do not want to do it any disservice, but I was looking through the illustrious career that she has had, and I can't wait to dive in just to find out more about that and the passion and what fuels her for the dental genetics, and also for the saliva diagnostics, excuse me. So that's interesting in itself. So I can't wait to dive in. And Dr. Goswami, thank you for your time, and thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Robbie, for calling me in your show, and it's an honor to be here. Thank you for the invitation. It's my pleasure to be here.
It's just surprised when I was looking through your career, and then when you sent some other stuff to me. I'm just curious, is that something you always had? Like the passion you have to go into where you are now, or is that something that was sparked from something years back and you said, wow, we really need to implement this within the dental community and to really try to help out?
Yeah, Robbie, actually, I will have to tell a little bit about my academics before I answer your question. Basically, I am a postgraduate. I have done my post-graduation in applied genetics, and then I had a research career particularly in the field of oral cancer genetics. And after completing all these, I did my undergraduate in dentistry. Well, all these things a little twisted, but it's about my passion, as well as first inspiration is my father, because my father was the first dentist of a small district called Murshidabad in West Bengal in India. So that's my birthplace. And our clinic started. My father was a very famous dentist that way, and he's still known. But unfortunately, we don't have him now with us. Still, that clinic runs. He started in 1964. So actually, coming back into dentistry after a career in genetics as well as kind of research, it was more about getting my dad's that whole community, what he has built up. People has loved him a lot, and they worship him like a god, which I have observed with my own eyes, and I have grown up seeing that philanthropic services in that environment. I have grown up, so I always thought that it's very necessary to keep this thing going some way or the other. So from that point, I understood that if I just try to run it as a dental clinic there, just me being a person from a basic sciences would really not be possible. So I thought that, okay, then I have to do dentistry to understand more about it. So that is how I left my opportunity of a PhD in the United States just to support my dad, because that was the time which was necessary. And I don't have any regrets for this, because, that time my dad has a cerebral stroke. And then I understood that this is the time I have to be beside him. So then from there on, I studied dentistry, and I just convinced myself, okay, I need a DR, that is doctor degree, in front of my name. So whether be it a PhD or a dentistry, it's all the same for me. So that is how, Robbie, I came into it. And after studying dentistry, I got to understand that there is a huge gap between the understanding of the two sciences, particularly in the Indian education system, the curriculum, that the way we are taught, both the basic sciences as well as in the clinical aspect, there is very little connection between the two. I mean, when we are taught, but if you see, when we see it as a pathology, or when we are talking about a treatment aspect, it is very, very important that we understand what's exactly going in, what's going wrong inside the cellular level too. And from therein, this idea of bringing genetics and dentistry together came into my mind. Particularly, I am passionate now about it, and for the past 6-7 years, I'm into it. And with that, I have started my training academy, some research services related to, and this is how the story has just begun. I think I have to go a long way.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, are you the first of your kind to do the saliva diagnostics? Is that something that has happened over time, or is that everything that led to that point? I mean, how did you discover that might be something to help people out?
Yeah, because I think that's just out of my sheer academic interest when I was in my research days, or when I was studying my doing my post graduation. Somehow I got interested into saliva, which was long back. I think it was around the year in the 2000s, 2002, 2004, that time. So I just used to read such certain research papers, and some just for out of interest, it got intrigued. I got intrigued about it, and then I started just reading about it. But then when all these career twists and turns I have passed, and when I came up with dental genetics, I understood that saliva as a fluid has immense potential. And if you see the research arena, or in the global perspective, so much has happened. I mean, saliva, you can do anything with saliva, just like that we do with blood. So I'm hoping for a day where we will talk only about saliva test and not about blood tests. So so from therein, I thought that this is something which has to be brought to my country, because I have been following pioneers who are global pioneers who are real good scientists in the field. And they are my biggest inspiration. I have been following their work from long. And by God's grace, now one of them are my collaborators. And with his help, I could bring this saliva diagnostics as a community, because when it comes to science, Robbie, it's very important that we bring like-minded people, we bring the academy, we bring the industry together, so that we understand what's going on in each side. So in that way, I tried, and then by all good luck and God's grace and everybody's blessings, I could start this journey as a community of saliva meeting. That started in North America, basically, in 2014. But I could start that journey in 2019, and now it's on, and I will be moving on to the third one in 2021. So I am very happy about it. Yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
that's the thing.
Yeah, congratulations on that. And then I'd love the like-minded community, and then kind of the collaboration of the minds, if you will. How do you, like, for everything you do in the research, is that something that, and the funding for that, is that something you have to go to within the country to find funding within government, or is that something that you find investors?
Yeah, Robbie, basically right now I am just trying my best I'm trying my luck so that I can crack some funding, because I am working on a particular area where I'm trying to bring up certain saliva test or a chairside test, particularly to address the area of oral cancer. As I mentioned, that is one of my key area of interest, and where my intention is that if some test we can do where we can tell people that when we see a lesion in the mouth, it doesn't look like a cancer always. And many people have habits, like particularly if you see Asian and Southeast Asian countries, there are certain deleterious habits of taking non-smokable tobacco, chewable tobacco, and all those stuff. So those are key factors which enhances the risks towards oral cancer. And many pre-malignant lesions we come across daily in our practice, in our dental practice. But literally speaking, we really don't have a pinpointed solution. We just can't tell you, just like a fever, we give you a paracetamol and say, okay, just take it and you will be fine. But we don't have something. Basically, what we do, we give some symptomatic treatment. We just try to relieve their pain, or we give some antioxidants. But I feel that we actually wait for the cancer to happen, because after 3-4 years, that simple lesion might become a dangerous oral cancer. So my strive is that I have to stop the new diseases coming into the society. So that can only happen if I can diagnose the disease early. So with saliva diagnostics, this is possible. And over the world, many good things are happening. So I'm just trying to do that, do a similar kind of thing here in India. And I'm just waiting to crack some good funding so that I can take those things forward. Yeah.
I have no doubt you'll find it. I mean, that's great. You're continuing on your passion and your father's passion as well, and the work that he's done. And I'm sure that people would love to rather have something diagnosed through saliva versus, giving a blood sample, like you mentioned earlier, because some people are terrified of needles and they don't want to.
Exactly.
They'll pass out just at the sight of a needle. So that's great that you're trying to tap into that. And is that something that you mentioned kind of about how in a certain population, have you noticed through your research where one population has certain type of lesions, like you mentioned about an Asian population versus other parts of the region, or like how's that deciphered and figured out?
I will tell you that, like, for example, if we are talking specifically about oral cancer, then in that case, if you see in the Western population, like maybe if I specify a country like USA, the States, so there we see mostly HPV related, that's a virus, human papilloma virus related cancers are now coming up, like oral cancer particularly. But similar things, HPV-related oral cancers are not so common in India. Again, in India, we have one oral pre-malignant lesion, which is called as oral sub-mucus fibrosis. So basically, what happens due to these habits, and particularly there is a thing called areca nut. So areca nut is that's like people take it with a bitter leaf, and slicked lime combination. That's kind of a very common habit. It's kind of an addiction, and it's taken by most of the population. So now areca nut induced oral submucous fibrosis is a pre-malignant condition which has different stages, and that directly goes to a dreadful oral cancer. But when we really don't have that key now to diagnose at the very first point that whether this particular oral lesion will become a cancer or not. So that is my point, that I have to somehow identify the malignant potential of a so-called non-malignant lesion, because that's the key. If I can diagnose, then I have so many things to do. I can counsel that patient about habit intervention. I can tell him other good things, before even going into telling him to go for surgery, or you might get cancer. So I can actually do good to the patient, and at least I can push that disease away from him for a few more years, as well as sometimes it again reverts back to normal as well. So that's the thing. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive, all the work that you're doing. And that's I imagine, like you mentioned earlier, you have a team of people around you collaborating for the organization, that you founded and a part of.
Yeah.
How does that structure look?
You are asking about my collaborators?
Well, the team that you have, I know that the organization that you're with, that you founded. Yeah. Is that something that you, and is it like a bunch of other, doctors and scientists, or how does that look?
Yeah, basically, into entrepreneurship, I am very new, to be very honest. Because though I am into the field of dental genetics, I have been talking about it a lot. Because to be very honest, Robbie, when I started with this, I was very fascinated. But then I used to go to seminars, give seminars and conferences. I used to see that people listen to me with big eyes. But after that, I feel that it just went off their head, so they couldn't relate. So 3 years at least I have spent just to build awareness, and just to tell people that this is the future and you really have to come into it. So that was my little difficult part. And into entrepreneurship, as you said.
Yeah, that is, man, hats off to you. That's great that you're doing that, because that's smart. And then you mentioned as well about some of the speaking you've done, and I mean, that's incredible. Yeah. You're doing that to bring awareness. And I noticed that it actually led you to the Dental Entrepreneur of the Year. You received that award. So congratulations on that. So clearly your work you're putting in some serious work. So that's phenomenal.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you for that.
Through that collaboration, that's great that I think that'll help too, going for the funding that you mentioned. And then I know you have like a vision down the line. I imagine it's tough to put a timestamp on it through the research. Do you see a change 3-5 years? Like, how does that What's your goal to kind of eradicate through what you're doing through the oral cancer prevention?
Yeah, I think actually my proposal that I'm working on, if I get a proper funding, if I can crack, well, I'm also in the learning phase, and I don't think that when I apply for grants and I do not get it, I think those are my learning opportunities rather than calling it that I didn't qualify and all those stuff, because each time I have learned a lot, and I think that I have to improve more on those areas. So I'm just trying to work out. And if I get a proper funding, definitely my proposal stands of 18 months. So by it, like if you ask me a time frame of, if bringing out that kind of a device, so I think 18 months would be necessary to bring up at least the prototype device after a validation, and then scaling up. Definitely, that's a step-by-step procedure, but I'm not going to do that. But yes, if I get a proper funding resource, then yes, in 18 months we can do that. And because probably the thing in India, the best part is two. One is number of samples. You don't have to worry about it, and that's just saliva. Nobody will even ask you that why are you asking my saliva. So to be very honest with you, so I think we can do wonders in that area actually.
This episode is sponsored by Fresh Revenues, where they help their clients discover and drive revenue even in the most challenging of times. Visit their website, freshrevenues.com, and you'll see how their global expertise drive the ROI you want and need. With over 30 years of experience, Fresh Revenues have been guaranteeing their work and delivering on your every expectation. If they do not deliver and exceed your expectation, they do not get paid. And that is a Fresh Revenues guarantee. So reach out to Don Farrell and his team today at 855-256-1751 or visit their website, freshrevenues.com, and ask Don and his team about their approach to fresh revenue generation.
And you mentioned you said a prototype. What exactly does that look like?
Actually, that would be something like I have thought two things at this point of time. One would be a handheld kind of device where you can take it anywhere, particularly when we are talking to do something like this in India. Robbie, we have to think one thing, that here we have to bring some things if we want to really cater to those people who need it. That is we have to think about the economic level. We just cannot talk about very good genetic tests that are happening. That is not affordable by most of the population here. So my vision is to bring out a very, very economic, either paper-based or a handheld device, which can be taken up in any remote areas where even you don't have any, maybe you don't have a good facility to put a power plug. So that's my vision with this device, where we can do screening, because to understand the population or even to validation of this kind of a device or study, it is very important that we study it as a population rather than only small numbers. So then only we will get the clear picture how we can put it. So that's my goal to achieve.
Yeah, I love that. And then through the screening of it, how fast are you getting the results that you're looking for and that turnaround when you are going to these rural areas and you're taking samples? How fast are you getting results?
I think it should be not more than 30 to 45 minutes. It should be so fast.
Oh, wow.
Because I am looking into certain biomarkers which are present in saliva, and I am not trying to find here something new biomarker, but those molecules have been well researched in and have been proven already. My innovation is that I am just trying to bring a panel together, and that panel is my innovation, which will really which will be at least, it will give you some idea where you can tell people, or it will help also to educate people, that you have more risk, because see, this is the test. This shows kind of little positive. So you are at higher risk. So please don't do this. Because Robbie, what happens as clinicians when we try to counsel people, it's not about they are educated or illiterate or semi-literate, whatever it is, until unless you have something on papers to show, it doesn't, human psychology is like that we really don't take that imprint inside our head. So the moment they go out of the clinic, you have counseled them for 30 minutes and then again they will be back to that habit. But somehow I think this kind of test is very, very necessary, because only with this we can actually start targeting of stopping the incidence of a new cancer. Because whatever we are talking about, or whatever treatment strategies are there or advancements are happening, definitely that's a different area to speak about altogether. But what about if I can stop the happening of the new cancer? That's very important. And that is that one point always triggers a spark inside me to do, jump in and do something very fast.
Yeah, that's fascinating. We need doctors like you to actually cut off things early before things happen. And I appreciate that. And then is that something that once it's, your vision comes to, the ultimate fruition, if you will, is that something that's going to be implemented within dental practices that they'll now have that test so they can use, with their patients?
Exactly. That's my vision with this particular test that I was talking about, because it should be a chairside test. So, and dentist would be the best person, because, we see a patient from different, like right from their childhood, as well as we see patients from different strata of the society. Every day we have we know the pathology, we know the clinical implications. So if the dentist has a tool like this, then it will be easier for them to go to a proper diagnosis, more definitive diagnosis. Because the thing is that now what we have as a gold standard is biopsy. Biopsy is nothing but cutting of tissue and then examining it under the microscope. So, but there are many, that's a gold standard followed. But the thing is, in certain cases, you just cannot go and cut the tissue. I mean, that would be the last choice. So this kind of test, what I'm talking about, I'm not telling that I will be replacing biopsy. That's not going to happen. But definitely this will be adjunct to biopsy in those cases where at present moment you have no other choice, just to give them some supplements, some ointment, and leave that, tell that patient, okay, we just come up for a follow-up after 3 months, 4 months. So you really don't know what exactly is going, even you don't know as a clinician what exactly is going to happen, because you really can't do a tissue which looks a little bit abnormal. You just can't go and cut that tissue, So, so this kind of tests are necessary, because this will actually give you the idea, the clinicians have the idea that whether there is a malignant potential or not, because only then that kind of treatment line can be thought of. So your entire treatment plan, entire treatment strategy changes depending on what you are, if you are detecting it early. And as we all know, most of the cancers is like that, like, just by lifestyle modification, just by, if that person is having some habits, like as I mentioned before. So just by stopping those, it's possible that they just, totally they come back to a normal thing. So I think that's very important.
Oh, definitely. I'm sure dental patients would love the fact that, hey, I can give you a sample of my saliva versus a biopsy. They will take that any day, every day. I know you're not trying to replace it, but that's great to have that alternative to it, as you mentioned, because you don't have to do a biopsy. If there's no need for it, like you said, you could treat it temporarily and do the saliva, which is incredible in its own right. And also, since how you're doing all your research, are you solely sleeves rolled up, all in on the research? Are you doing research and also are you a dentist on the side? Like, are you juggling both?
I'm juggling both.
Wow. How do you sleep?
Oh, no, I'm very good at sleep also, because the time, because I'll be always dead drop tired. So I just don't even need 1 second to sleep when I fall on bed. So I do really take care of that thing also.
Yeah, that's good to have for sure. I imagine are you just 7 days a week, just nonstop working, or do you ever have a day where you just take time to yourself? Because I feel like you're just nonstop working going.
Actually, Robbie, I'll tell you, many people ask me that, why do you get tired? Actually, I think when you follow your passion, it doesn't remain as a work to you. So even if I am physically or not doing that work. Like, for example, I'm not opening my laptop or not doing something, but 24 hours, my mind will running. I cannot stop that. I cannot stop ideas coming in. I cannot stop, things like that. So I love this. So I don't feel tired or I don't feel that this is my work. It is just that I do it for the sake of my love and passion for it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great to hear because that you have that, because you're right. I mean, it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like more like fun and passion that you're having that. I know you have some speaking engagements and stuff you've done in the past. Is that something that you're going to, once COVID is kind of over, are you going to try to do the same thing? I know you mentioned earlier about doing some speaking engagements.
So basically now, what one change I did, as I mentioned about the training and education thing, that many courses and workshops I have been doing to spread awareness, particularly in these two fields of dental genetics and saliva diagnostics. What I did is, due to COVID situation, I have now transformed it into a online format. So, and I think people are loving it. And the best part, I always had a vision that I always used to tell this is something which resonates in my mind, is that it's a time that we have to take learning to people. We always cannot bring people to the learning. So I think online medium is the best. And as I see that now, in my courses, like particularly, I have been running 3 courses at present time on oral cancer genetics, dental genomics, and saliva technology. So in all this, there are not only participants from different parts of India, but different parts of the globe. So I think that's the best part. And I have tried to keep up with my work just by this transformation. And I'm very hopeful that once this COVID situation is handled well by all of us, then I think we will resume back to our physical format of, workshops or training programs. So I don't think it will affect any way. So I'm very hopeful about it. And these online programs are kind of going good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating that you have that. And I love that, learning, online and tapping into that and making that change. And through your research, has there been a part that has been more of a challenge to kind of break through, like during your studies of, if we can just figure this one aspect out, if we can just figure out this one, whatever the case might be, that just a groundbreaking to really take it to the next level for your testing and research?
This is, I can do that only I have some funds to do. Like, as I said, now at present, if you ask me, this project is my dream project, and I really want to bring it up as soon as things works in my favor. So that is how I am looking forward, actually.
Okay. How often can you apply for grants, and do you have to change your proposal every time, or do they see and go, hey, this is Dr. Goswami, she's actually working on something really groundbreaking here?
Yeah, there are here I have actually tried not many grants, but few which are from the government of India. So generally the calls come in for twice a year. But then, as I said, Robbie, I'm in the learning phase. So I'm also now looking for international funding opportunities. So maybe if I can actually apply, or I can get some opportunity or some news about it, and I get those kind of platforms, I will be the first person to jump in. And as I said, that I'm always ready to take up these opportunities, because every time you go through a process of this selection procedure, it's a huge learning phase, and it helps a lot of my identifying my own mistakes and getting better and better. So I think I will keep doing this. Always. Yeah.
I have no doubt you'll keep going forward, because for what you've done at this point, and I could just tell it's pouring out of you, like the passion you have. So there's no way you're going to stop tomorrow. You're going to see this to the very end. So I can't wait to even the day that comes where I hear something about this in the United States. When I go to the dentist, I'm like, oh, I know the person that actually started this.
Okay. So nice. Yeah, I hope I could do that one day.
I have no doubt I could see it on the horizon. It's coming around the corner for sure. Obviously, I could tell you have a ton of stuff going on, and you're just constantly going. So I thank you for your time and, for being on the show. I know I wish you nothing but success, but I tell you what, you're going to hit it. I have no doubt.
Thank you, Robbie, for your kind words. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much.